welcome back. Okay, so after our little adventure with the locks and overheating, we managed to nurse her up to bridge 14, so that was good. That was exactly where we wanted to be, where we'd left one of the cars so that we could go and pick it up. And then we decided that we needed to do some more work on the engine before we then moved her anywhere. So that meant that we got the water pump off because we thought that that was probably shot. For those of you that don't know, the water pump has some little impellers inside, so if they've cracked off, it's not going to pump the water around effectively, therefore it's not going to push it through the coolant system, so then it's not going to cool the water down, which obviously would mean it would overheat. Along with that, we were going to replace the thermostat, seeing as how we were going to have to remove the thermostat housing anyway to put another piece of pipe on and replace all of the perishable parts. So belts, hoses, end stops, anything that is made of rubber that could potentially perish, because what we needed to do is make sure that we didn't create a weak link. So if we replaced one thing at a time, as we found, the bits that we replaced would work perfectly fine, but then the bits that we hadn't replaced, eventually they would just give up because they would be the weak point. So it makes sense now at this stage to give her a once over, replace all the perishable parts, and then we at least know that those bits and pieces are all good to go. So we got all of the bits and pieces together, and we actually managed to get the water pump and the thermostat and the belts for this particular engine from our tractor supplier. So big shout out to Jay Charnley's. Thank you very much, lads. They know me there as the crazy lady with the boat. So I have some odd requests, but they did us an absolute solid. So they were able to get the pulley off the water pump without breaking it, because apparently that is quite a tricky job. You need a very specialist tool to do that job. So they sorted us right out with that. Thank you very much, boys. And yeah, so we don't actually have any footage of these repairs taking place. So it was very, very early one Saturday morning, and we had a big journey ahead of us where we needed to make some decent headway. We had to make up some miles. We were behind on the plan and the schedule for where we needed to be in order to avoid the closures. So even though we made it through Marple Locks, we were very aware that there were going to be stoppages planned for the Wigan Flight, which was another crucial part for us. So yes, there was lots of shouting, lots of swearing, lots of "we're not going anywhere" muttered from my husband's mouth. However, we did get her up and running a little later than advertised, which was perfect. So then we had to adapt. As you do quite often with Narrowboat life, you'll hear people say you're on canal time now. So we fall into that quite easily. And so the next leg of the journey, we went up from bridge 14, which is sort of Romiley on the Peak Forest, and we got her up to Duckingfield Lift Bridge, so number 1, so just before the Peak Forest joins the Ashton, which was a good plan B. So was quite happy that we managed to get her there. So I'll talk you through what we use to plan the routes. So if you put into Google Canal Route Planner, you find a website called Canal Plan AC. So it looks a little bit like this. It is very simple to use. So you just enter the place name that you want to go from, whether you want to go out and back, one-way trip, where you want to travel to, and again just type the place name in there. So we wanted to end up at Botany Bay Boatyard. You can give your own travelling times, or you can use the defaults and the default dates for the trip. So here you go, it gives you a full summary. So we were aiming to go 51 miles, 5.5 furlongs and 66 locks. And then it gives you the full breakdown here of the journey with all of the milestones. Then on the map there, you'll see it gives you days of intended travelling. So it will tell you there at the bottom that each day is an average of 7 hours and 31 minutes travelling. So if we look at the very start here, this was from where we bought her. So we've come all the way down through Marple, obviously, and then into Romley. So again, we were aiming to get on our next 2 days from where we were in Romley all the way right down the Ashton and across the Rochdale to join onto the Bridgewater. So that's not going to happen now. We are going to get all the way up the Peak Forest to the top, so just above where the day one is here, where we're going to moor up and leave her there for the time being, and then reconvene for the rest of this journey. There is still a fair way left for us to go. So all the way down the Ashton, and then all the way across that little section of the Rochdale 9, and onto the Leeds and Liverpool. And this is where the lock section is here at Wigan that we need to get through before the closures. All the lovely weather we've had made for some interesting water features on the way. So this was New Year's Day, 1st of Jan, and here she is, all moored up near Duckingfield Lift Bridge number 1, ready for a bit more prep before we tackle the rest. So it started scrubbing. As you can see, it's disgusting. So got the fire on, keeping her warm and cozy because it's already below 0 outside. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Quick little hack for dirty wellies: £3 B&M doormats, cut, glued to the steps. That should keep us safe from slippy wooden steps with little wet wellies for now. Another little marketplace find, nifty little sofa bed. And off we went onto the Ashton. So we plodded along, making our way down the Ashton Flight, thanks to Chris, my husband, who did every single lock along the Ashton Flight. Here we are, just getting into Manchester city centre now, so that's Canal Street, all lit up beautifully and bright. So this was onto the Rochdale section now. The boys absolutely loved it. They couldn't believe how beautiful it was, all lit up at night time, and the fact that they stayed up past their bedtime. So this is one of the reasons that we decided that we actually wanted to get a boat of our own, was to be able to make memories like these. So we spotted these little beautiful horse, which is very close to my heart anyway, and Mr. Fox hiding there in the corner. Little selfie with Rory, our youngest. And here is the final lock of the Rochdale that got us into Castlefield Basin and onto the Bridgewater. So we kept plodding along, making our way as far as we possibly could. Not advisable to travel in the dark. However, this section of the Bridgewater was all lit up bright enough to see without the light on the front. We had got some navigation lights on, so if we should have met any other boats on the way there. Again, doing the whistle stop tour of both of the Manchester football stadiums. There goes the United grounds. We made it all the way up to Stretford Waters Meeting, which is where I'm going to leave you for tonight.